Welcome to the Black Agenda Podcast Group, where we tackle issues that shape our communities. From health and healing to justice and accountability, today's episode is a powerful one, Survive and Tell, Voices Against Silence. We're joined by two representatives from Survive and Tell, a nonprofit that advocates for women who have faced domestic violence at the hands of police officers and support survivors in telling their stories, finding safety, and demanding justice. In this episode, we'll discuss how abuse from those sworn to protect impacts trust in law enforcement, the emotional toll on victims, and the border crisis of gun violence against women, particularly in Black and marginalized communities.
How you doing? My name's Free Black. Welcome to the Black Agenda Group. Peace and love to the guys and goddesses, baby.
How y'all doing? TJ Watson, aka Mr. Mindframe. We have two special guest stars with us today, Kara Dawa and Kiwana Perkins, founder of Survive and Tell and trusted board member of Survive and Tell. Ladies, can you just introduce yourselves, give a little something about yourselves?
Sure. First off, thank you guys for having us. My name is Kiara Dawood. I'm one of the founders of Survive and Tell. I'm also a science educator. So I've been working with the youth now for a few decades now, about two, I guess. I'm also a certified silent counseling therapist. So I would like to share about that too, because I think that changed the world. I know it definitely changed my life when I was introduced to it. My most important role, though, is wife and mother to three beautiful children.
Beautiful.
Hey guys, my name is Kiwana Perkins. I am actually a board member of Survive and Tell. I'm a poet. I'm a mother of two. I am just here to support my friend. We've been friends for a long time. And when she kind of like introduced me to Survive and Tell, I was like, oh my gosh, sounds like the thing that I want to do. So I've been a board member for about 2 months with Survive and Tell. I have two young boys. One is 2 and the other is 7.
So, ladies, our first question for you guys is, what inspired the creation of Survive and Tell, and what does your organization aim to change?
My personal experience with trauma and relationships, it made me, I was seeking out resources, I feel like, because I'm a Black woman, being one of the reasons I just didn't have equitable access to resources.
Right.
And so from there, I wanted to advocate for other women who were experiencing what I experienced.
Yeah.
So I went through the YWCA. I became a domestic violence advocate. I also started to
Okay.
look more into officer-involved domestic violence, a marginalized group that does not have equitable access to resources for obvious reasons, and we can discuss that throughout the entire podcast. And from there, I decided to start like blasting it, because like one of the first things that I did was a survey to ask if people knew what officer involved domestic violence is.
Right.
And I was talking to DV advocates, I was talking to leaders in the community, and all of them said no. They had very little to no knowledge of what officer involved domestic violence is.
Right.
But what we know now is that OIDV is actually more prevalent in the police community than in the general community.
Okay.
I didn't know
And
that.
due to so many factors, like the fact that they carry guns,
Yeah.
they have legal knowledge of the systems, and they know how to use those systems or weaponize them against their victims, and they also know the location of shelters. It's that much more dangerous for OIDV victims, yet nobody was talking about it.
Yeah.
So my first thing I did was I just started to do my research. I followed stories where it had resulted in homicide, suicide, which is quite frequent. We had an issue actually in 2021 in York, PA, where that was the outcome. And I just started a Facebook page, and y'all let me know if I'm going too long.
No, you
Okay.
good.
You're fine.
I just started these memes. I
Yeah.
would screenshot the news clipping and just say, this officer, his name, killed so-and-so.
Right.
In this place.
Okay.
And, it was their wives, their children, sometimes their grandchildren. So it was really graphic information. And I
Right.
quickly learned that was not the right way to go about it, because
Yeah.
police officers have a lot of support, rightfully so, because of what they do in their profession. And so I got a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
And a lot of people was, defending the police officers in the comments. And I'm like, this is not helpful. So
Right.
I
Right.
had to kind of get away from that and figure out a way that I could actually do meaningful work in that
Right.
community.
Okay.
And so, like I said, became a DV advocate, and we started Survive and Tell, with the idea that if we start sharing our stories, because a lot of OIDV victims feel shame.
Yeah.
They feel like nobody will believe them. Like, who's going to believe that this police officer
Yes.
that just saved 10 people last week
Right.
comes home and is beating me? And so we want to encourage them to share their stories, give them a safe space to do that. Also connect, because that's where the power is when you
Yeah.
can actually say, this happened to me, and stand 10 toes on that, knowing that,
Yeah.
you know, I don't really care if you believe me, but I'm going to say this because it happened to me.
Right.
Right.
And so from there, Surviving Tale was born.
That was beautiful.
So like, as far as like learning people's story, right? As far as learning people's story when it comes to survive and tell in that aspect, as far as police officers, how so these resources help them actually recover from people that's actually been through this kind of trauma.
Well, the idea, because this is a growing
Okay.
organization. So when we first started, it was just simply like getting the awareness out there.
Gotcha.
But then over time, you know, it grew legs. And so now we have events in the community, but our
Okay.
events are focused on healing. So we have our annual Healing Space
That's
event.
great.
where
Yeah,
we
I
bring
seen- we came
people
by, we
come
came
in.
by.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we bring people in. And we have them work with storytellers, professional storytellers, so that they can help them craft their trauma into a story of triumph.
Right.
And then that culminates with them coming together and they share their stories to an audience.
Okay.
We just had, actually, October was Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we
Yeah.
had yoga at the riverfront. And what was we had our poetry slam.
Yeah, we
so
did
we
have
do.
poetry slam. That was amazing.
Yeah,
more. I
and
forget
that's
it.
quarterly. So we actually do that every 3 months. Like I said, we just had our last one in October, so the next one's coming up in January. But again, it's all around healing. It's all about sharing your story in creative ways. We've done paint splashes. That one is really, really geared towards kids. They seem to like that the most. We, bring them out. We got our tent set up. Excuse me. And we tell them, like, blue usually is sadness, red is correlated with anger. And we
Right.
said, have at it. Like, we gave them
Gotcha.
different tools to use. They had paintbrushes, paintballs that they could throw, water bottles that they could paint. And they just go in there and they pretty much express how they're feeling, but not in a constructive way.
You know
It's-
what? Because I was
Right.
going to say,
like a read-through.
Right.
Yeah.
being a victim, sometimes, I've been a victim of other things, not a survive and tell situation, but being a victim of something, sometimes you can, telling your stories like real trauma, real, you know what I mean? And some people
triggering.
won't,
Yeah.
and some people won't understand you. Some people might already cast you out. You know what I mean? Let's just say if you might have, been a hoe before or whatever out on the streets doing whatever you might have been doing, and now you want to survive and tell your story about that. But this is totally different. I mean, like, has it ever been like real difficult to deal with certain people when they're like retelling their story? Has it ever been like, certain scenarios where like certain people are like, they just feel like this kind of resource isn't helpful for them because
They don't feel
they don't
safe.
feel safe
yo,
telling
I
their
know
story.
exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
it's just kind of like they don't feel like
Yes.
they're not in a safe
Yeah.
space to
Yes.
tell their story. So they want they're there for the healing.
Yeah.
But when it's time to tell the story, it's like,
They might shut down.
I don't want to tell my story for
I
real.
get-
So I'm just
No,
here
you're right.
listening.
Before I was actually a board member with Survive and Tell, I was just going to the community events, and one of the events that I went to, like the very first one, it was the storytelling one, and it wasn't really about me telling my story about what happened to me.
Right.
It was more about what did I learn, how did I grow, and what tools did I use to keep me afloat.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Because just with my personal experience, I've been through like a lot of different traumatic experiences. And sometimes I didn't know how to express myself.
Right.
Sometimes my depression would become anger.
Yes.
Sometimes my depression would become sadness. And just dealing with 2 kids, 2 black boys, just trying to raise them to be men. And me not being a man by myself, like I never had a father
Talk about
in
it.
my life to tell me like what to look out for, what's
Yeah.
right or what's wrong. And even down to the fact when I was younger, my aunt would tell me things like, oh, well, the reason why you got this is because, you dress like that.
Right.
And I'd be like, Auntie, that is not the reason.
At all.
That is
Victim
not the
blaming.
reason
That's not the
why.
reason why.
That happened. But going to those community events, it wasn't really like me sharing my story. It was about how I can grow, how I can become strong within myself.
Right.
Um,
So I feel like everyone goes there, and I mean, and that's beautiful because everyone's perception and everyone that they gain from is different. It's about the growth. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
asking some of these points just to get more detail on like how the organization works. And
No, thank you.
what the
That was a
organization
really
represent.
good question.
Yeah.
And
I like to dive deep. I don't like to try to stay, surface with the
yeah.
question because if you say surface with the question, we asking questions that people are afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Like I'm not too, I like to defend myself in every aspect. But for the people that have stories to tell, it's great that you guys are hearing. You guys are giving a safe space for them to express themselves and grow. And like she said, gain something. Even if you don't heal tomorrow, it's a process with it.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to elaborate a little bit on what you were saying as far as like definitely chasing down the stories and getting the stories because you got to do the footwork. And obviously, you really encourage because you do it because if you don't do the footwork, like you said, it's going to be to keep getting brushed on the rug like everything else. And it's great that, have people to share because I was just talking to him the more like you learn about yourself, the more you learn about others. Because like we be going through the same stuff, but people
Exactly.
be so ashamed
Yes.
or something. They be scared of the judgment. But like the more you be yourself, the more everybody else gonna be themselves.
Absolutely.
So it's gonna be like an easier feeling. So the stuff y'all doing is like it's like and that's amazing because we was talking about like the spotlight and stuff like that. Like I don't really like the spotlight,
Nah.
but the stuff like we do. So he was saying like the universe.
Oh, yeah,
you doing
yeah.
good, so don't worry about that bad happening to you and stuff like that. So
No, I was talking to you. I was talking to you about the way you invest in the karmic system. Has a lot to do with the way you grow. When you invest, when you putting out nothing but positivity without in the community, like what y'all doing, Survive and Tell. Like the negativity don't matter because it's so much positivity that the karmic system is always gonna work in your favor. That's the nature.
Yeah.
That's nature's law. Like
Yeah.
that's God. Whatever you believe in, that's just the way it's gonna work. But that's just like life. If we all, if like if we all got a great story to tell about something.
I got one more thing too before we move on. And you was talking about the like the officers, right? So the cases that you do know about and like you did read up on, I'm just thinking about because a lot of that stuff go unreported. So I'm thinking about all the other cases that went unreported that we don't know about and stuff like that. Like what in the future would be implemented on you guys' part to like really start making sure like some of these officers or some of these people like really start getting retribution or start getting locked up behind this stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay, can I come back to what Chris asked and then answer your
Oh
question?
yeah, my fault.
That's
I
fine.
ain't know I
Yeah,
cut
no.
off a question.
First off, just wanted to reiterate what Kiwana said there, as far as like the events not necessarily being focused on sharing the traumas,
Right.
but the lessons that come along with our experiences. Because like you said, it can be triggering. And so I wanted to like really address two things with that. One is I thought where you were heading with the footwork is a lot of people claim to be advocates in DV
Talk about it.
and they haven't done the training.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's troublesome, and this is why, because when you're working with somebody and you don't know the tools and how to respect that person's confidentiality,
Yep.
then you may be thinking you're helping, but you're actually causing harm now because they're
Yes.
supposed to be able to trust you. You're supposed to be their safe space. And once you
Yeah.
damage that trust, you have, again, abused them, not necessarily physically, but they feel like you have taken advantage of them. And so, particularly in this community, because obviously this is where I live, and so I interact with more people in this area. But, I work with victims all throughout the country. But I have had people who have told me that some of the advocates in this, they feel victimized by some of the advocates in our community because they shared information that they shouldn't have shared. They weaponized their story for clout.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and then it makes it harder for people like myself or actual advocates who are doing the work
To
and
dig in, just I'm here for
have
you.
done the
I
training.
actually
'Cause
love
I
people.
sat down, right. I went through,
Yeah.
I didn't just say I'm an advocate because I'm a victim
Right.
or was
Right.
a victim, a
Okay.
survivor. I went through the training. I learned about confidentiality. I learned about VCAP. I learned about, I went did the PCAR trainings and the PCADV trainings online. And up here, from my biggest takeaway is confidentiality. Like, you don't
Yeah.
ever have to worry about coming to me and I'm going to repeat what you say.
Right.
Like, I'm a woman. So women talk, but that to me is off less.
Yeah,
like,
that's sacred.
right. If,
That's
like, you come
sacred
to me,
grounds.
Right.
that's something I'm not going to repeat to a soul.
Right.
My husband be like, well, who are you talking to? Who did you talk about? I'm like, none of your business.
Yeah.
It wasn't those kind of conversations. This is not a pillow talk moment.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Right.
I
Keep
hold
it
that
in the
near and
vault.
dear to me
There you
because
go.
I would expect the same from that person. And then also, I don't want them to feel like I just use them for their story because that's not what it's about. It's about healing for that person so that they can get up.
And solidifying trust.
Right. And
So
so,
this
like
is
you
like-
said, I got to go back and like rebuild the trust that I didn't even
Yeah.
break with them. Like,
Right.
look, this
It's
is not
hard.
that, sis. Like, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to connect you to the resources.
Right.
I'm trying to tell you how. And then kind of also, so like moving past that, you're right. Telling their story is retriggering. And so with a lot of domestic violence moving to a position where we're trauma informed, right? A lot of them are telling them, we can't talk about it. We don't want to talk about it because that can re-triggering. So that kind of leads to something that kind of fell in my lap. I'm God-fearing. I believe in God. I believe in a higher
Yes.
power. We may call them by different names, but I believe that you are going to be where you're supposed to be at every time as long as you are living in your purpose and not fighting it. And so I was blessed to visit London 2 years ago, and one of the ladies that was on the trip with me, she, we told our stories, we shared what we were doing. At the time, I was battling anxiety,
Right.
a lot of stuff from my past too. I was still out there trying to help people, but they were like sitting and doing this. I wasn't comfortable doing this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But she saw something in me. She said, look, I want to teach you about this practice. It's called silent counseling. I had no idea about what it was at the time. She was just like, it's something that was found in Scotland. I know they're not doing it over in the U.S. She lived in outside of London at the time, and she trained me on it. And what it is it's pretty much a system that allows you to unblock your energy pathways in your body. So we have energy
That's
that's
powerful.
flowing all through our body. We
Yeah.
know this,
Don't
right?
get
We
me
say,
started.
right, we talk
Yeah.
about that
Don't get
person
me
has bad
started.
energy, that person
Yes.
has good energy. That's real, and it's not even being researched as much as it should be.
Right.
But we are, as scientists and doctors, starting to realize that there's an energy field in our body. We're not just meat and bones. Like
Right.
we
Yep.
have energy that moves throughout our body. But when we go through negative experiences, trauma, negative thought patterns, we develop emotions. And
Yep.
those negative emotions, if not processed and released properly, will block your energies
Absolutely.
Yes, it
from flowing
will.
throughout your body.
Absolutely.
And so when you
Yes, it
get
will.
anxiety, you get depression, you get PTSD, you get some even physical ailments. Like there's a book by Bradley Nelson called Emotional Code that walks you through how to do these things. But he talks about how cancers are caused by this, lupus, so many different things.
Yep.
I'm glad you hit on that because I feel like my next question was like not even a question. I guess like a little input was because I feel like what you just landed on as far as like the practices that you learn. What is it called again? Silent
Counseling. And why it's perfect is because
Yes.
you don't have to tell me anything.
Yeah.
I don't need to know what happened that triggered you. I'm literally going to allow your subconscious to reveal where the energy is stored, what emotion it is, and then we're going to go through a process to release those
That's dope.
emotions. And
That's-
I'm telling
that's
you,
dope.
usually you feel better immediately. We say give it 2 to 3 days, but by the third day, you're going to feel less anxious. You might even start feeling like your body aches are starting to disappear.
Yeah.
All along, it was just that emotion
Stress.
that you had.
Stress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Stress.
had that emotion that was trapping and
Stress.
blocking
Yeah.
that energy. So it's amazing. Like that was for, I guess, what your question too would be is what are we doing? Like that's one of the things
Yeah.
I'm constantly working, figuring out how I can help the community. I tell people like obviously it's my time. So if you want it, like we could talk about consultations, but I'm very, very flexible as far as pricing because I'm not trying to get rich off of this stuff.
Right.
Like, I got other stuff I'm trying to do, but it's not that. Like healing the community, I'm not trying to get rich with that. I really want to help
Absolutely.
people.
You're rich in
So-
spirit.
Right.
Yes,
So,
rich in spirit.
And
that's good.
I just gotta commend because the science aspect really helps with you knowing all them things and even how to tap into that. So I know you really studied, and I just gotta commend you because that's not easy. You gotta learn a lot about the brain and the body because a lot of people don't know how their brain work, their body work. They be wondering why they be feeling certain ways
Well,
and why they can't get out this rut.
that touches on what me and you was talking
Right,
about
that's why-
earlier,
yeah,
bro.
'cause, yeah.
Like I said earlier, bro. You know, when we talking about dealing with the youth and healing, a lot of the youth in the chameleon, right? I just posted something, bro. Sugar,
They basically
bro.
doped up.
Sugar, like, know what I mean, bro. When you got these kids, or even adults. Let's talk about kids or adults. It don't matter who it is, consuming high amount of sugar,
On the brain.
and then when it goes to deal with a situation that might be confrontational, that might be you can't process feelings, emotions. All you know is those
It's
dopamines that
react.
keep you.
You're just going to
Yeah.
I mean,
react.
those
to
dopamines that
whatever
keep you
feel.
triggered is I'm invested in my ego. I can't talk from my heart. I can't talk from a clear mind.
And
It's
that's
just
your logical
so
side and your
yeah. So that
logical
is
thinking.
I think I'm interested in learning silent counseling.
Yeah.
I think it's dope.
I was gonna say that was the reason for my color because I know the creative sector in our body, it has a color too. That energy field, the creative blockage is the sacral, and it's orange. So when I was looking over everything and seeing it, because I talk about this a lot too, because one of my biggest things is I resonate with you with the two boys and postpartum depression, and then it wasn't so much domestic, but it was like psychological violence, like the verbal abuse and things like that. That like I wasn't myself for a long time. So talking about it actually made me feel better. Like just getting it out. People were like, don't do that. I was like on Facebook Live. They were like, my friends like, my mom said get off. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not
Right.
because this is actually making me feel better. I'm not the type who can keep it in. I have to release because I
Release it.
feel like
Talk
sharing
about
my
it.
story
You have to
is
release that.
Talking
exactly
is healing, for
you
real.
help like
gotta get it
and
out you.
Love
I
that,
went
Yana.
to because I did experience also sexual abuse. And I like that y'all do the storytelling. I went to a lot of vagina monologues when I was in college, and I was like, "This is so powerful because like you're not alone, and it makes you realize that through your emotions, I learned that our brain learns by our emotions. And that's how we get stuck in our traumas and our triggers. And if we don't learn our triggers and how to calm ourselves down in those moments, they will always control our lives. So that is just such a beautiful thing. And that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask. Like, how do you guys help them navigate between, like,
Doing the work.
yeah, and showing, like, them
The next
how they
step.
can like notice their own triggers, the red flags in their partners, because sometimes what is that? It's like Stockholm syndrome. They
Yeah,
may move
Stockholm
to the
syndrome,
next
yeah.
situation and they'll see it, but they won't run from it. They'll stay in those situations. How do you help them navigate things like that to get around so they're not stuck in that same situation again?
Thank you for sharing that too
Thank
with
you.
your story. That is a difficult one because everybody that comes to you isn't necessarily coming for that type of help.
Right.
And so we have to be very careful not to step on people's boundaries
Okay.
because we're taught we can't really tell them to leave the situation
Yeah.
because we don't know why they're there and what's keeping them there.
Yeah.
A lot of women, especially in OIDV, 'cause that's where I expert, and they lose their kids afterwards
Yeah.
because once they lose the power and control that they have over their victims, they leave, and another way to try to regain that power is to go after the kids, which is very common
Yeah.
in DV situations anyway.
Yeah.
But then the added layer of them being a police officer, respected in the courts,
Right.
expected to tell the truth.
Yeah.
They're very easily
That's the power they have,
able.
though, too.
Yes, they
That's
go.
the power they have.
They go after the children,
I
and a
saw
lot of the
that
times
before.
they win custody
about to
of the
say.
children.
Right.
And so that in itself is a whole bunch of stuff that you have to consider when you're dealing with any
Yeah.
type of domestic violence or SA victim. So it's not more so trying to like we use domestic violence awareness month and just normal around the year type of things to spread education. Like if you go to our page, there's with the red flags on your situation, like psychological abuse, emotional abuse, letting
Yeah.
people know that abuse isn't only physical. We do that then, but on a one-on-one basis,
Right.
my priority is just safety.
Yeah.
Like, let me, if you don't want to work with me in any
That's
type
good.
of way, like, can I help you at least come up with a safety plan?
Yeah.
That way we can try, because, emphasis on try
Because I feel
to
like
limit the amount of danger you're
Yeah.
exposed to.
Yeah.
because I feel like it's important. I feel like what the resources you're providing is important for people that. So let's just say if there's let's just say there's 20 steps. No matter what step it is, as long as you're coming and making progress and making a step,
You get
you're
better.
doing the work because the work needs to be done. I feel like that's the key part to a lot of what
Yes.
you're doing. The work needs to be done, and it's beautiful. It's great work that you're doing.
Yeah, it's not a 24-hour thing. It's not like you come in, you're like, oh, you're going to leave the situation, you're going to have resources, but can I at least get you to the next step?
Absolutely.
And I like what you said too, as far as about not really having like a singular situation, like she was talking about. Like you're leaving it because like you said, you don't ever know what somebody might have been through. You might have never even heard this story before. It's like, so you're really like leaving it open for them to like really feel comfortable and tell whatever story they have to tell. You know what I mean? Because you might not understand it. And you're not there to understand. You're just there, like you said, to listen and whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? So I think that's dope. Like where your head's at.
And also, just kind of going back to what you had asked earlier, this is not something that we can do on our own as far as like building a system to stop this. We are very aware that the system that we are opposing is a very powerful system. Like,
Yeah.
we're
Talked about
speaking out
those
against the
systems
police.
earlier.
Like,
Yeah.
we're talking about the police,
exactly.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
and
The police.
all-
We ain't just talking about the police. We talking about the
Well,
system.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
right.
Because they have.
Part of-
It's more than just being the police. They
face
got
of it.
And that's
They're
why I
the
was
the
saying about
system.
the
No, yeah, no, I get
the
what
power
you're saying.
behind them.
I was just speaking in terms of OIDV. Like
Mhm.
we're
Okay,
talking
yeah, yeah, yeah,
about
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
Okay.
police. We're talking about their support systems,
Yeah.
prosecutors, attorneys, DAs,
And that's-
judges,
you're right.
Yes.
mayors.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not hard. It's not easy, excuse me, just to be like, can y'all change these things? We've tried, of course. So, like, I'm always out advocating and asking for meetings with Chardo and Mayor Williams. Like, what can we do? Because there was an OIDV situation back in June in
Yeah.
Harrisburg Police
I
Department.
remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was I won't go too much in that because I'm still trying to partner with them, obviously. But
But I was about to say, I definitely
but that
understand.
was
You
a very
definitely need
interesting meeting.
moving
to
pieces
say
in
the
other
least.
areas. You definitely, like you're right. You definitely need moving pieces in other areas because it's so corrupt. So you need like
We
somebody,
need community support.
Right,
That's
exactly.
what
We need
I was
community
going to
support.
ask.
We
How
need
get the
revolution.
community-
Right,
Revolution.
exactly. We need people to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then get behind it. We need to
Yes.
marry the OIDV movement to the police brutality movement. Like, we know
Yes.
the research out there against what police officers are doing to minority communities. What I don't understand is why we aren't marrying those two movements right now.
'Cause they
They're
match.
right back in 1991, the LAPD riots when they did the investigations
Right.
of Los Angeles police departments. A lot of those police officers, that were had like excessive use of force. All those, when they did their research, they were also police officers who had been accused of domestic violence.
Yeah.
So there's that overlap there.
Yeah.
The police officers that are going out there and they're targeting minority communities and they're oppressing them and they're using their power
Can I say
are
something?
also going home and oppressing their wives.
Can I say
and their
something?
spouses.
Because I feel like based off of what you just said, like hearing that, like because I almost got triggered by just hearing that because, like that's the agenda that they when they go to work and they have those meetings. Like say if we were all cops right now, we having a meeting. Hey, we're gonna go to South Side of Chicago or the South Side of Los Angeles, and we're just gonna shake down all the drugs we put into their community.
Yeah.
Like what? This is what we're gonna do, all right? And at the same time, we're gonna say, yo, you have trauma issues, you got all this, and go deal with that. I mean, guess what? You do got trauma, and you do got issues, and there really ain't the system ain't out here to help you. That's where y'all come in, right? As far as helping no matter what kind of victim they are to police brutality. I just had to get out there of my mind because like they have those kind of meetings, and do you think that we don't have enough black police officers? Because if we are going to invest into the system, because I'm not so invested into the system, I feel like it scratch the erase and let's remix and do it over. But if we are investing into the police system that we do have now, we need enough black cops that actually live in this community, that actually can deal with this community rather than just have one tack.
Who
Hey, yo,
won't
force.
crumble or
Force.
crack under the
Force.
pressure.
Hey, yo, you reach for it's just all force. It's not, can I talk to you? It's not understanding. It's like, I don't really know you. I was taught that you're a threat. You know,
Right,
so like
yeah.
the way these cops are like being reached, you know, that's something that my mom is into
training
cahoots
should be
with dealing
different.
with
Definitely.
police.
Oh,
She
yeah.
has she's doing these programs now with where like studies where like police are going to sit down with people that were victims in the community, and they're going to like be able to like talk it out or hash it out. I was
Okay.
like, Mom,
Yeah,
that
that's
is a great
powerful.
idea,
That's
Mom.
powerful.
I told her that is a great idea because those people that were even me, like you know what I mean. I said I would definitely love to speak. I've been a victim of police brutality plenty of times. You know what I mean? Did I deserve
Yeah.
it sometimes? That's up for debate because I still might have been, but still, I don't think no one humane deserves to be, you know, because I got this badge, because I got this uniform on, because I got the alphabet behind me. Like you said, I can just dominate you in every aspect of your life. Because even if I do got a case on you outside of that, I can make your life. I can make your life like shit because I'm a cop. That's not fair. I can do this because I can do this to you because I'm a
Certain
cop, and
titles
they
have
they
people
flex
moving a
that shit.
certain
And
way.
you
Yeah,
flex.
absolutely.
Yeah, they
Because
do.
you have to think about the people who are actually drawn to that profession.
Right.
Yeah.
Like what's going on up here that you want to have authority over people.
Right.
You know, we're naive if we believe that everybody that wants to be a police officer wants to be a police officer for the right reasons.
There you
Like
go.
not everybody doesn't go
Yeah.
into policing to
go.
protect and serve. Some people
No.
just like
Ego.
beating people.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Full
I mean,
advantage
or
of it.
dominating,
Then-
or just telling women, "Hey, know your."
Not, and
I
don't
just
mean
like telling
being
women to
DD,
know their
but they
place. Like
being-
what?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they like people. They like having authority over people.
even
Then you
if-
think about the trainings
Yeah.
that they have too. Like what they're trained to be like, they mirror domestic violence.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
That's
They
what I
they
was about to say.
characteristics. They're taught to be authoritative.
He got on a
That's
black
to say-
hat.
to have control.
looks like a victim.
That's the power and
Yeah.
control wheel in domestic violence. To be inquisitive and ask questions, like an abusive husband. Where you been? Why you got that on? Who calling you?
Yeah.
They're
Right.
trained to ask a lot of
Right,
questions. So
right.
then you also got to look into that. It's like how much is the training actually translating into creating. So
Healthy
the whole
homes.
system, like what your mom is doing, the whole system needs to be revamped.
Right.
Yeah, I
I'm
was
not
just
a
gonna-
defund the police person, but I do
I'm
believe
not.
it needs
Right.
to be some
About
reform.
Rewriting
Yes.
a manuscript or
Reformation.
adding stuff like you gotta have certain psych evaluations. You gotta be emotionally aware and attack. Socially aware and attack. Like how about adding stuff like that, like for more up top
Yeah.
instead of just physical brute
Or
shit?
how about
a secret
if you
society,
don't
too.
live in our community, don't police our community.
I like that.
I mean, because like, listen, bro. You know, like you know,
clean up our own
recently we
stuff.
had the little, we attached to the. We got some shit going on with the Black Panthers. We going like so when it comes to
Yeah.
just establishing stuff like that, bro. Like that's the next step of providing more resources for y'all. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean. So even after this, like we'd love to talk more about helping and building resources with y'all because, like you said, it takes a community to get behind small steps like that and small steps like everyone to correlate all in one coalition to make.
We come from a long way of like sticking together as black people in general, like the male and the female and the raising the kids up. Like even though like we're not in a relationship, like we should always like want to protect our black females. You know what I mean, keep them
Yeah.
safe because like I said, they're getting oppressed. We getting separated and they taking them out. You know what I mean? So they really controlling it. So definitely, like he said, we want to tap in with y'all. Get to know what we could do more for sure.
For sure.
I got a personal anecdote, and it was shared with me, but from a trusted source. And she just touched on it. This is an older lady now. She's a staple in the community. Like if I said her name, everybody would know who she is.
Right.
That type of person. She was just telling me about a domestic violence incident with somebody in Harrisburg, a black woman, and her husband, or she's a business owner as well, like walked in her business and attacked her. And we just had the conversation, and she was like, a man had told her about it because he witnessed it. And she was like, he should've
Another
done
man
something.
witnessed it?
He should have
Yeah,
done
that's-
something about it.
Like,
Yeah.
And
just
I was
sitting
like,
No, that's
you think like absolutely he should have done something about it, like
Should've
not go
recorded
like
it.
like
Definitely
play
should
like
be
a
more than
female
that.
and go like just carry the news. Like he should have been
Yeah.
like, I just whooped somebody because I
Yeah,
saw him
exactly.
putting his
Exactly.
hands on his wife. And I
Yo.
feel like in different communities that would have happened. Like if they would have seen a white woman being attacked, or you maybe, I don't know, maybe even a Latina community. I can't speak too much as that, but I feel like
They
somebody
step up.
would have intervened. Whereas black women, as Malcolm X said, we are the most disrespected and neglected demographic, and nobody comes to our aid. It's like even our black men sometimes tend to tear us down. And we had kind of went into that before the podcast, just talking about black women feel very unsupported. I'm not just talking about myself. I'm talking about all of us. Like, we feel like we don't get protection, which kind of goes into what you were saying with the gun violence. That's a huge part of why you see gun violence rates rising in the black woman community. It's because we feel like nobody comes to our aid when we need it.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. For sure.
Right. I mean, I'm not speaking for all, and I don't really know the numbers and statistics because some actually, I just feel like some actually just don't want to actually be led into a decent, or I mean, some women are just so invested that they don't need a man, right? And for the ones that are invested that they don't need a man, man needs woman no matter what. That's how I live. That's what I live for. It's an equal balance. So when a woman says she don't need a man for anything, it's kind of like, yes, you do.
I think that's just like over time of not being supported. And
Yeah.
Right.
every time you open your mouth about something, then they come back with something that you're doing rather than wanting to actually hear it.
I'm
or
with
listen.
you. I'm with you.
So it kind of does. At a certain point, you're just like, well, what the? I mean, I would never say that because I do need a man,
Right.
and I recognize that. But my mind is focused on like, how can we just stop always talking about what the issue is? It's literally just flat out the issue
But
and never a solution
Never
to
a solution.
what
That's
can we
the
do to
that's
come
the
together.
division. That's
Yeah,
the
that's the
division
divide.
amongst
It
the
takes two to tango.
systems.
You gotta want to do that though.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's
Like-
not a lot of people
Reality,
do.
too.
But
Like, I
was
think
it-
you gotta call a thing, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Because every
Like,
situation
with the
ain't made for
work,
everybody. I mean,
Exactly.
so.
with the word, and it's not everybody. Like, when
Right.
we're having these conversations, we're not talking about the men in this room, obviously, but
Right.
that doesn't negate that it's happening.
Absolutely.
Like, I sat down with the woman that I've been working with, because the research I've shared with you, that's not my research. That's an actual doctor,
I
a black
appreciate that,
woman
too.
doctor
Mm-hmm.
that works at Johns Hopkins University
Okay.
that push them to actually start looking at gun violence through the lens of black women. And so she wants to work with grassroots organizations and have us do the work in our communities to determine what factors are contributing to this trend that we're seeing.
Right.
Because we know it's a trend, but we don't know what the factors are.
Yeah.
Officially now we have an
Right.
idea, but there just hasn't been any studies out there to prove like this is
Right.
what's correlating to that. And when we sat down with her in September, she does work in Chicago right now, and she's like, I talked to the black women who are in bad places right now. Some of them are strung out on drugs, some of them are homeless, and she was like, Kiera, it was ridiculous how many of their stories started with being let down by a man. She said this. These are not my words. This is a lady who studies this. So I'm gonna take her word for it, because this is her field of study. She's a doctor. This is what she does for her life. She's like, a lot of them, like whether it was their first boyfriends, their dads, cousins, a lot of, like, when I was able to sit down and unravel their stories, like, how did you come from being a straight A student to high school to living on a corner, and we go back through the years, it's like, oh, well, yeah, that one time my cousin raped me, or my dad used to abuse my mom.
Right.
Like, a lot of it was due to male toxicity, is what she said to me. Now, like I said, I'm just going by what she said to me and then what I've seen in my own experience as well. But there is something that's going on where we do not have people coming to the aid of black women. In fact, they're not only coming to the aid, they're abusing them.
Well, and I'm gonna definitely go off it and say it's a lot of suckers out there.
It is.
It's a lot of suckers out there because for one, you know what I mean, like, we need to revolutionize in every aspect of the with the direction that the world's going right now, right? And this is just one of them, right? We can't even get enough. Like, you feel unsupported. Black women feeling unsupported is not okay. And I'm gonna say that again. Black women feeling unsupported is never okay. It's the key to balance. It's the key to nature of life. the black women are super important,
The raising
overly
the
important.
kids.
That's
Yeah.
what I
They
was
they they
saying.
oh they overly important at like
You keep hitting
it's
on it.
existence.
Hitting on it.
No, you.
Because that's
Tupac
how
said it, and then we gonna have race of
The babies who
they
hate
hate
the
the ladies.
ladies.
Like,
Yeah,
and
like-
that's
so
where we're
sad.
at. That's why our
That was
kids
one
are now,
chapter,
because
'cause
our
we was-
women are so
there we
damaged
go.
trying
Go
to
ahead.
raise kids.
There you
Yeah,
go.
and I think that's how it all. It's literally it's all together. Like you feel resentment from your mother now when this woman does something that resembles that. You're triggered by it, but you don't know that you're triggered because you never taught emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
emotional regulation.
Yeah.
So you don't know where it's coming from,
There you go.
but it's just something that you don't like, and that's why it's so important that we have those type of conversations or these type of conversations because
Awareness.
that awareness isn't in our community, and the arguments just happen, and they're like, "Well, they're doing this," and the psychology of it is just like that's what be making me be like, "Oh, be quiet."
Because when I
there's
had
a
these
reason.
conversations with other men, and they're like,
They don't understand.
man, but she's just. I'm like, bro, you don't know how to handle your woman.
Right.
Yeah, like I'm just saying
really
because
don't, though.
like real men that know
Right.
how to actually support, love, and understand their woman, it's not a challenge. It's
and they
really
can do it for themselves.
Absolutely.
Let me-
That's something that
Absolutely.
starts with themselves.
self love. That's
Yeah.
but that
No,
goes
let
back
me-
to what we
let me-
talk about.
Let me say this.
Self love.
And I ain't never proud to say this, but I learned a lot when I did my time in jail. Like everybody don't, but if you take it's what you make it. It's like life, you know what I mean? So if you take the time, like you could learn so much. Like we talking about yourself, about people, about the mind, because if you don't, like you'll be going crazy if you don't even know what's going on up top. Like you said, emotion. I learned how to like communicate. Communication
That's
and
key.
like you said, the psychology of it. You know what I mean, the science behind it. It's more than what we think. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, because the wrong thought, if you don't talk about your trauma, it leads into 10 years, 20 years down the line. You don't know what's going on, but you keep repeating the same old stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same old
Yeah.
stuff, you know what I mean?
Cycle.
And that's why, like, I be understanding. The more I live, the more I understand women, the more I understand because my mom, I talk to my mom a lot now, you know, because my mom's 60 years old and she still has trauma because she didn't know her dad.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know that because man, mom don't want to talk about stuff like that. I'm like, mom, we gotta start talking.
Yes.
Come on.
That is a
Okay.
powerful
Woo,
statement.
you just-
Yes.
woo.
I need to
And
know
you
more
broke that
about you.
generational curse by
Exactly.
saying,
Yo.
That's
Mom,
the
she
start.
was like, what the hell made her
For
ask me
real,
that question?
And
she
she
said-
opened up. She got emotional.
You know, older people be like,
I'm crying.
Yeah.
what the hell?
Well, I need to know
What's going
because-
on? Why you ask me that?
Yeah,
We
that's
need
how
to-
I
like
connect
you
with
said,
my
like, you
elders.
need to know
Yeah, that's
because
how I
you
try
need
to
to
talk
know
to my
take the
kids
steps
too.
to
I even
back the
like
hill.
try to ask them like, do you see? Is there anything wrong with my parenting?
Yeah.
They be like, Mom, what you mean?
Evaluate me. Here's a picture paper.
I want to
That's
know.
great. No, we should do that. We should all do that.
Absolutely.
We
Because
should
that's
all
what
do
I
that.
needed growing up. Like, instead of the backlash, like, oh, and I was like, I'm crying out for help here.
Right.
Like,
That's what I was getting at. So just imagine that me and my mom's communication wasn't even there. So
Yeah.
that's why it's so important. That's why I always say something about the youth is so important. They the next ones up. So I was saying about earlier, it's like it's good to try to bring our youth up to lead them in areas that we necessarily can't get to right now, like band lawyers and doctors and politicians, and so we could get some of them laws changed. We could
And
get some
change the systems
hospitals.
that we
So
talking
could really
about
start having
oppress us.
our
Community
community, you know what I
healing
mean,
and
and stuff like
accountability.
that's why I say the youth, we got to get to the youth, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm
We
with
got to
you.
steer them in the right
But
direction.
back to touch on what you said about like because I'm not for like men matching feminine energy. I hate that shit. I'm not like
doesn't make
I'm not about to sit here and argue back and forth.
Yes,
I'm a
I
person
hate
of
that.
so, like how do we like what's the solution?
Resolve.
Yeah.
We're not going back and forth because but I don't even like to call it like a female trait because men get really what if me and him having a conversation? What you say? What you say?
Right.
Well, what you say? We gonna hear women. Like I can't match a woman's energy going, hey, I can't get that. I can't compete in that.
Right.
But man to man, you'll see it. And women can sense it sometimes like, oh, you see, they going like you can what you say? Well, what you saying? What you saying? And you can feel it, you can hear it. But I
Energy
can't
rising.
match the
Energy
energy
shift,
of a black woman like that, especially a woman overall because I support
Right.
black women too much. I try to understand a black
There you
woman
go.
enough to understand that. Like,
try to get past
and I don't even have to identify as a problem. It can just be you having a bad day. Your period might have came, or
You're
whatever,
right.
whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. Learn how to handle your black woman. learn how to handle your woman. Not even just a black woman, any woman. Just learn how to handle them.
Understanding them.
You touched
Love
on
and make you understand it, though. I mean,
you touched on something really powerful. So remember I told y'all I went back in 2023 to London. I was on the, like I said, God had led me here. Somebody had, I don't even know how I found this book, but it was called It Didn't Start With You. That book, everybody should read that book.
Okay.
It's by Mark Olowin. It Didn't Start With You. And he broke down the science behind generational trauma. In the black community, we've been talking about generational trauma for a while, but it's different than just it's more, not different. It's more than just passing down behaviors. Like, it's literally a science behind it. If something traumatic happened to your grandma and it causes like the dopamine levels in her brain to increase, those same levels will be in her children.
Yeah.
And not only her children, those same levels will be in her children's children. So there's studies out there showing that. So when we are experiencing things in our lives, these emotions, these troubles that we're experiencing, it's because we're not sharing the stories, like you said, with your mom. We're not sharing these stories with our children. So we don't know where it connects in our ancestry. And so we just think it's something that's within us when it actually didn't start with
Deeper
us.
than that. It's
So we
deeper
had
than
to
that.
talk about it. Like, the story was wild. It was like one guy, he just started in one of his scenarios. He's like, the boy started waking up on his 19th birthday with cold sweats at night. Couldn't go back to sleep after 3 o'clock in the morning. He was like feeling like he was dying every night to the point he was suicidal because he couldn't get any sleep. He went to see the doctor to author this book, and he started having unpack things. He found out through his mom that his uncle, his mom's brother, that they didn't talk about, he never knew existed because he died before he was born, was in a storm fixing a telephone line during like a blizzard and fell and died of hypothermia at the same exact time
I
that
got
he
chills.
started to wake up every night. And it was on his 19th birthday because his uncle was 19 when he
Wow, I just
died.
got mad
And
chills.
so from going there
It's like
and
a lot.
talking
I
to
love
that
it.
and
Yeah, I
talking
love
to
it.
his ancestor, he had to, like, he goes through a whole
Yep.
activity on how you can fix that and repair that. Look, I know you was scared at that time. Talking to his uncle that's deceased, I know you were scared at that time. I understand those emotions that you feel. You can always come to me and talk to me when you feel that way. And I can hopefully come to you and talk to you when I'm experiencing the fears and that. And that healed him. That book is very powerful. So what you're doing with your mom is exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be sharing those stories. So because it's not only healing her, it also heals you too.
Yeah.
And then what you were saying as far as your friends, like with the women, you got to remind people a lot of times you're talking to the unhealed version of that person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
That person
absolutely.
is
absolutely.
She's not healed.
Yeah,
That's why
absolutely.
you love her.
Yeah.
But all of
Yeah,
us are dealing
absolutely.
with stuff. Like, she
Yeah.
is not this bad person.
Right.
She's just probably dealing with some
Right.
stuff that you don't even know.
But that's
about.
where, that's where the whole concept of, we talked about this, the negative and the positive, the yin and the yang of life. That's the balance, whether you want to call it 50, it meshes. Once it correlates together, you see the beautiful end goal for it. You see the beautiful end goal for black love. And like, I listen, when I see that shit,
And that's why they don't want to
I see it, I'll be like, yo, that's you. Know what I mean? I just came in, you know what I mean? Like,
That's why this energy. That's why they don't want this black energy. Like, this energy right here is crazy.
Yeah. But that's what the Black Agenda group is for. That's what we made this podcast for.
Touching on the men in the community, there is something here that I wanted to read.
Okay.
It's called For Men in Our Community. Men play a critical role in prevention and protection. Here are some key ways brothers can help. Listen, don't lecture. If a woman confides in you, believe her. Don't make her justify her pain. Watch for control patterns, power imbalance, constant monitoring, or isolation are early red flags. Challenge the boys' club silence. When men in authority misuse their power, speak up. Silence equals complicity. Model safety and emotional balance. Show that strength doesn't mean dominance. It means control, accountability, and compassion. Protect, don't police. The role of men is to guard the community, not govern women's lives. And that was in my thing. I like that.
Listen, man.
I just want to say one thing. Speaking of what you guys were talking about regarding to like the generational trauma, I actually wrote a poem. It's called I'm a Blackbird. I was inspired to write this poem because I don't know if y'all ever heard that song, Little Blackbird by Nina Simone.
Yes, I love
I
her.
don't think I've ever heard it, but
You never heard
I'll
it?
probably listen to that.
I'm Nina on tonight.
So I wrote this poem. It's called, Little Blackbird. And it was just basically about I can recite it
I
for
was
y'all.
say,
Yeah.
so I was gonna ask if you got
Yeah.
it, because I love some poetry.
Definitely get some poetry popping.
All right, hold on 1 second. But yeah, so my poem was kind of inspired by Nina Simone. Just kind of like detailing the different generational traumas that we all face, and then how it kind of like affects our life. So, hold on, I'm trying to find it. Give me a second. All right. So it says, I am that black bird that Nina spoke about. They want to know my name, where I'm from, who I am. I respond, I am a slave, from a slave, from a slave. I defy the laws of my own gravity. I am dark skinned with no heritage. I'm a body with no origin. My teacher asks me, what is my ethnicity? I tell her, I'm a slave, from a slave, from a slave. These are the people I associate myself with. My ancestors were slaves, taken from their homes, stripped from their heritage. My native language lies in the seas of the dead relatives. Who am I ask. I'm just a black bird, defying the laws of my own gravity, taking my life, creating and reinventing who I am. I am unstoppable, unimaginable. I am dangerous because I'm not really sure who I am, where I'm from, or where my origin began. I am dangerous because I chose to be all that I am. I chose to be an expert in all languages but white. White men's language feels foreign in my mouth. I was forced to say these words, to act this way. My teacher says that I'm black, so that makes me African American, right? But I don't associate myself with this. Ethnicity is defined as the fact or state of belonging to a social group that has a common national or cultural tradition. Even though I am black, I cannot associate with being African. They talk to me in their native language, and I can't help but to stare. I ask if they're talking to me. They say nothing. They just stare at me. I'm in America, so I must be American. How can I, when I was brought across these seas, just be traded and dehumanized by slavery? So my ethnicity would be descendants of slaves. I am the black bird that Nina spoke about. Yes, my mother's name was Lonely, and my father's name was Pain. The issues of my ancestor was passed down to me with no actual gain. I am a black bird in this world who is lost. I have a mother who doesn't know how to love me. The only love my father ever had was taken from him. He chose pain over love because he didn't know how to do it. And my mother chose a man over being happy, which will forever render her lonely. I am just a black bird. Nina asked me, why do I have to fly? Why do I want to fly? I tell her because I have to. I have no choice. I have to leave this oppressive land and find my own voice. I have no choice to reinvent myself as a black bird who flew. I am a descendant of a slave, but I'm a black bird too.
I like that. And so, if I had to label what black birds you would, I would definitely say a falcon.
Oh, thank
You
you.
fly higher and faster than all of the bullshit. That was beautiful.
Thank you. So if you guys want to hear some more of this beautiful spoken word, come to the Survive and Tell Virtual Poetry Slam.
Yeah.
Every 3 months.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna have to come. I'm gonna have to come
Yeah,
and
it's virtual.
Yeah.
So you
Give us all the
click
info
a
so we
button.
can also, put it on the screen and everything.
Yeah.
So we can
because I
let
got some
them know.
trauma. I mean, like because like it's crazy. Like, the work that I did, as far as like the trauma that I faced in my life, as far as like coming out of the jail mentality mind state, or coming from out of the black man that don't support the black woman, just
Yeah.
building, relearning that. That started with me. That started with a lot of fasting, clearing my head. You know what I mean? Like once I emptied my body, right, I was able to receive information a little bit different. I studied it myself. I was doing own studies on myself. You know what I mean? Like, all right, let me see when I eat, right? And I deal with my wife. Let me see how I feel after that. I don't really want to be bothered. I just want to sit down, lay down, and be. You know what I mean? I fast. I do everything she asks me. Can you do this? Can you drive here? Can you do it? So, like, when it comes with like that mind frame, or just
Knowing
like,
yourself,
you know what I mean?
talking
Like, just growing overall in a sense, or just fighting, or just beating that trauma. if you can't do the work within yourself, because that percentage I feel like is very hard with, you know what I mean, as far as like people was doing the work within, like I don't actually need nobody. So I'm not saying I don't need anybody. I had to learn the hard way. I had to go to prison. I had to, know what I mean, damn near lose a lot to gain a lot. Know what I mean, because where I'm at now, I'm grateful for where I'm at in life.
Yep.
It's great for me. Know what I mean, but going through the trauma to actually try to get to have the breakthrough to receive information from another black man, from another woman, without feeling attacked or feeling like I gotta speak from my ego. I can speak from pure love and understanding, overstanding of who you are as an individual, as a person. I'm gonna fuck about the race, what you identify as, who you are as a person. I see love and I see potentiality, and I just want to understand. Now, I mean, everyone ain't gonna understand, you know, what you've been through as far as the breakthrough for trauma, because it don't work for everybody. I can sit here and tell my story about like, yo, I did it on my own and I did this and I did that, and people are like, well, that doesn't work. But you know, having this podcast, you know, being able to express myself and being able to talk, you know what I mean, like we're battling that trauma right now, because how many of us sit here thinking about childhood trauma or some trauma that we already we're revisiting it, but we're not triggered.
Yeah.
We it's
Right.
funny how we can revisit information right now and not be triggered by it. We
'Cause
did
we
the
feel
work,
safe.
and it's beautiful. You see this
Yeah.
shit? It's beautiful, and I just had to get that off my chest because you know what I mean. You see a bunch of people that been through trauma, that face trauma. You know what I mean, and now
Right.
we, you know what I mean. I ain't saying we done. We still got some more shit we gotta solve. We still got
Right.
some more shit we want to get to. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to revolutionize, as far as when I'm on. You know what I mean? Everyone got to play different. You playing your role. You playing your role. You playing your role. You playing your role. Coalition. We get the mission done.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need that unity because we got to find ways to get that information out there because not a lot of people know about police domestic violence and how much it happens behind the scenes or anything. You know, to be honest, I didn't know that it was happening, but because I seen it in TV shows, I don't know
Yeah.
anyone who personally went through it, but I would. And then as I'm watching, I do be on TikTok. It's hard, but I like watching the police things like their cam body footage, and a lot of the ones that were coming up was them abusing women either they were with or their wives, and then some women are on there telling their story as best they can without giving so much information because they
Yeah.
still fear for their lives. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was one woman, I do not remember her name, it was just like something came up, but she was just saying, I'm only doing this because I know other wives who their husbands are police officers, and we have a group, but we don't always feel safe to talk. And she doesn't. The other woman doesn't feel safe. She was sheltered and living in the anxiety, the depression, and I know how it feels. Like after my son with my postpartum, I never had anxiety attacks, and that was my first time getting it. And I felt like it was an outer body
Not
experience.
about it because you
So
can't control yourself.
You can,
Yeah.
and you're just like, what the? Like, I was like, yeah, this can't. And so I start understanding people more because you do learn best through experience and things like that. So I was like, yeah, like, this really needs, even though I went to school for psychology, but it was already something in me. Like, we have to really be serious about these issues and really have to talk about them more because
They
if
need
we
to be
don't,
talked about. They
Yeah.
need to
we'll
be talked
continue to
about.
be ignored. That's the distraction they try to put on us. Like, worry about this and that, and don't focus on that. That has nothing. No, we can be a change. We
And the
have so
ones
much
that's not
power in our
ready,
community.
and the ones that are not ready to actually do the work, we gotta find a way to add them into. You know what I mean? Just be a listener.
By
You know what I
listening,
mean?
talking.
Just be a listener. So
Make you feel
like,
more
and you know
comfortable.
what's crazy? I just learned that when you said that, when you just shared your story.
Yeah.
I just revisited something like, you know what? That's how you did the work. You sat and you listened first.
Yeah.
You didn't have to talk. You didn't have to share your experience. Know what I mean? But that was great to go off the questions that I had asked. You know, like what kind of beautiful. That was great.
Right.
Nah.
I wanted to ask, what do you like a message for any survivors listening? Like, what do you have for them? The way, like, to bring them closer to more healing or something, some words of encouragement from like both of you guys. What you guys think?
I would just say your safety is priority, and people are out here that are willing to help. Reach out to Survive and Tell. I'll do my best to connect you with resources. Reach out to resources in your community if you aren't in the Harrisburg or Pennsylvania. I don't mind reaching out to other states as well. I've done that. But there are people out there that are willing to help to get you out of that unsafe situation, to provide you with the resources that you need to restart, because a lot of them have to restart their lives. But your safety should and is priority, and you deserve a life where you are loved and cherished and not abused, and love
Yeah.
shouldn't hurt.
Yes.
Because love is everything.
Yeah.
Love represent everything. It don't just represent just I love you and you love me. It's deeper than that.
It's
It's,
way
it's
deeper.
really, really deeper than that.
Yeah.
Actually,
What about you?
I would say, just remember who you was as a person before you met your abuser.
Self-reflect.
You know, before you met with your trauma, just remember who you are, you know. And then once you remember who you are, continue to grow in that aspect. And honestly, that's what kept me out of, the reason why I got out of so many different situations in my life. Because I was just like, this isn't reflecting who I am.
Right.
So, for any person that's going through any type of traumatic situation, I would just advise them to try to love yourself again and love yourself more than you love your kids.
Can
more
I
than
say
you love
something too?
anyone.
I didn't want to, because I just want to give you a key pointer. That's the power you have too. That's the power you have. Not only is it that you have the power,
Yeah.
you did the work to reach the destination of power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Isn't that a beautiful thing when you can come up out of that? And like I've said, like life isn't complete for us yet, right?
Right.
So we can't glorify, but we can damn sure say, yeah, we made it this far, and that's enough to keep going to the next, to the next, to the next. But like you said, I'm glad that you provide those resources to continue to keep going, because who knows where like this level actually ends? Like for someone, they might forever need this kind of resource.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? Versus like, you could feel like I'm healed, and now you might want to go take on another relationship with a
Right.
cop, maybe, or with someone that's in a position of power. And now you might be healed enough to say, all right, I understand how this works. Or maybe I understand what to look for. Or I understand what
therefore,
to.
yeah.
So this is great services that y'all provide. But I ain't.
Yeah, that's really needed, because then it all ties in together, the mental health of it all, and not feeling supported. And I didn't know that our suicide rates were
Yeah, I didn't know.
rising, but it, like I said, since I've been through it, it's something that I really take serious, because there were times when, my friend had babies before me, and I couldn't understand. She just kept saying she didn't like herself and things like
Yeah.
that. And I was like, you look good. I think you snap back fast. And I'm all oblivious to what she's feeling and everything. And then when I finally went through it, I was like, experience is just the greatest teacher, because
Yeah, it'll humble you real quick.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
it will. It will
Humble
humble you. So now, like, I'm all in people's faces. People get pregnant in my family. I'm like, how do you feel? How's this? How's that?
Yeah,
They're
right.
And I think-
but
and I think
they're
also-
not supportive of it. They're like engaging in it, especially if they've had children before. And it's like, just thank you for always checking in on me. I
Yeah.
appreciate that, you know?
That you're hitting it all, because even think about Black maternal health. Like
Exactly.
Black women get it
That's
bad. I mean, we
real
know
bad,
Black men have it
yeah.
too, but we got it bad. Like, you know how many Black women going?
Die.
I don't want to talk about that because you
No,
got
because it's something that I'm talking about right now, because I do every time. Even though it's my second go round, I'm like, all right, just prepare yourself. You're going in there. It's going to be okay. You're not
Yeah.
going to die. Like, just
That-
straight up.
that part.
Just have
But
to
it's
say
that's
that.
so true. Like, it's crazy how
And
many
you gotta
Black women
speak
are
that
dying.
existence. You gotta speak that
Yeah.
existence to yourself, on
Yeah.
yourself.
She,
That's
yeah,
how powerful
you're
you are.
gonna be fine, because you know
Yeah.
how to advocate for yourself, but not
Yeah.
everybody knows
No,
that. But
everybody
there's
don't know
Black
how to do
women
that.
out there that are going in to deliver their baby and dying.
And
Like,
because it's already so much, like you said, unsupporting, so much stress, so much stuff that they already bearing on it. They just felt so much of release that they just, and that trauma could be within that wound, like you talked
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
That trauma and those dopamines can be within that wound that I just gave everything I had.
I didn't scare you.
No, you
Okay.
didn't. No, because I was just talking
I
to
thought,
his
like,
dad
she pregnant.
about
I don't know if I want to
it.
talk
He
to
said,
you,
you're going to be
but-
fine.
Nah, Yanni's she's a
Yeah,
strong
like I said,
one.
I
She's a
have to
strong one.
talk about it, because if I sit in it, like, that was me growing up. I was alone a lot, so I would journal a lot, and
Yeah.
then I would read it out loud to myself, or I would go back and revisit and be like, oh my God, why was you that sad? Like, what is wrong with you? But it helped me. That's how I was healing, and that's how I like to give that energy or that advice to people. So no, it doesn't scare me. I have to talk about it. I can't just sit with it in my mind, because then people get to the point they try to repress it, push it down, and then that creates more triggers and things like that. So no, you didn't scare me. I'm fine.
One thing I would like to see more though in our Black communities is providing like birthing centers for
Yes.
you know what I mean, there's
Yes.
pregnant females.
Get all the doulas
our-
in there.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think I was watching a documentary on Hulu, and it was telling, seeing how the black woman went through the hospital to deliver her baby, but I guess she had some hemorrhaging after the birth.
Yeah.
And the whole time, the dude, like the husband's telling him, like, "Yo, can y'all check on my wife? Can y'all check on my wife?" And none of the doctors like really taking him seriously. And he's like, "Yo, can y'all please go check on my wife?" And she lost too much blood by the time they actually went to go check on her, and she ended up dying.
Yeah. That gave me chills.
So I really think like having birthing centers in our community is actually helpful. Even
Yeah.
if you don't go there
Been
to
doing
deliver
it.
your baby, at least you can be somewhere that you're
Exactly.
supported.
And I'll say that because I believe, don't fault me on this, but I know statistics on that because I studied that. Malpractice is within top 1, 2, or 3 as far as
Oh, and the paperwork
Yeah,
they make
yeah.
sign, like that's what I
Yeah.
just had to
Yeah.
sign about if they
Yeah.
want to give me blood or not. They say you can still refuse it, but if needed, we'll give it to you if you want.
Institutions,
Yeah.
Just the
man.
things
Yeah.
that, and I'm looking at, I'm like, I gotta sign
I
this,
gotta
but I
sign
want to
this,
rip it
yeah,
up and be
yeah.
like,
This institution, yeah.
because you should be at fault. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you went to school for this, y'all have this all down pat. Why are y'all protecting yourselves so hard? Like they just, in my first go round, it was only me, the nurse, his dad, and my cousin. And they actually tried to make me push him back in there because there was no doctor in the room. I already felt the ring of fire. No, he's
Yeah.
not going back in there. Are
Oh,
you
my
absolutely
goodness.
stupid? And when he came out, I knew it. He's like interior placenta, so he's like the baby that was always hugging it.
Yeah.
So his hand was wrapped around, it was up by his neck. So they had to hurry up and do that. But I understood that the doctor wasn't there. But also, there was a couple things, like you said, advocating for myself. She told me she's gonna be back in an hour. I felt another contraction. I said, no, get her back in the room. She said, oh, no, you're ready to push now. Yeah, if I would have waited an hour, I would have been in
Right.
some serious. Then y'all try to give me a C-section. No. So
Yeah.
it is really important that we advocate for ourselves.
based
Open
off
our
of that
mouth.
based off of just that alone, that malpractice
Exactly.
alone.
Yeah.
Just to be pushing a baby out and experience more trauma while you pushing the baby out.
Yeah, did
Like,
y'all see
what?
that
I don't really
lady who
care.
was
That's
just
what I'm
sitting
saying.
in the
Institutions, I don't
waiting
really care
room with the
about
nurse
Yes,
screaming at the
I
top
saw
of her
that.
lungs?
I did see that, and I was like, "That is wild."
And there
you can
won't
clearly
be
see she
no-
is in active labor,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just doing intake, and she's sitting.
And
in
she's-
the
I'm sorry, I
normal
would have got up
triage.
and choked her.
I
Because that's how bad.
I'm gonna deliver this myself.
like, oh well.
That
And they're
would've
like, "Girl,
pissed
what
me
you be
off.
doing this?" The lady's in pain, screaming, and the nurse is just typing on the computer, just ignoring them, and she just did not care. at
You're
all.
not
Because-
even
That's what
saying
I'm
breathe
saying,
or
like-
trying to walk her through those things
Right.
because she knows that
Right.
she's
So
supposed
it's
to
an
do that.
institution. They don't really care. I thought
They're
like
not
you saying, it's
caring.
important to have our own stuff. Like,
Yeah.
we
Yeah, I think
really
that's
care
a bird.
about
That
getting
will-
this baby. and
Because
this-
why
Just
don't
said
you
we
go
need
through-
community
stuff.
here though? But that would be something because that's what I couldn't
Yeah.
find when I first was pregnant, looking for a doula. Now they do offer like they hire doulas through their insurance through the hospital, but it's not always like I had one and she was in more to creating content than checking on me.
See?
So I
Yeah,
said,
and
I
and
don't
then back to
wanna
that
do it.
exploitation piece.
Yeah.
It's like you can't get into certain fields you can't get into
At all.
If not, if
Try to
what
do
you're
some
more
extra
concerned
stuff.
about is just getting your face.
My
out
thing
there.
is-
that's not the priority.
My
at
thing
all.
is, why don't they? Why like even though you become a doctor, like I hope you're doing some type of psychology. I hope there's some kind of psych you got to take to really understand how to deal with people
That's what I'm
saying.
that you
That's it.
even if you don't agree with how loud they're yelling or how much you don't understand what they're going through, you would just rather sit there and be like,
everybody has to
oh,
take
they're
basic
fine.
psych,
Like
but
Yeah.
that
It's-
don't mean that they take. You know, in college you do have to take the
There should be
basic
more
stuff,
stimulations
basic
for
psych,
sure.
but I feel like you should also do women's psych if
yeah,
you're in
deeper.
that
Yeah,
field.
it
Yeah.
needs to be deeper studies or
Like
something done in that.
children's, like if you're a pediatrician, because it's just it all just goes together, and I don't like when people try to like
Right.
downplay psychology. Like
Right.
whenever I would say something to my family, they're like, "Oh, here she goes, thinking she know everything." She studies psychology. I'm like,
No,
I'm not wrong.
Yanni,
I know.
Yanni, I get
Black
the
people, I'm so
Yanni, I
get the
promise
same
you,
thing?
I get the same
Me
thing.
too.
They
Hate
do
to
that
be
with me.
But
about
look,
food, too.
hear me out, because I'm gonna say this right. Not keep doing that. Keep doing
I
that
do.
beautiful thing that you're doing because people like me and you and
Yeah.
us, like the Black Agenda Group, we mesh doing that because
Yeah.
we understand each other. Rather
Yeah.
than me saying, "The fuck is you talking about?" Like I don't
Yeah.
care about that.
No, but then people
I
still
care.
come to me
I
in
understand.
private
Yeah, I
to
was just
ask me
telling TJ,
questions.
bro.
I was like-
I want to tap in. I want to tap in with Yanni to really to really understand more about women when it comes
Women.
to a womb. When it comes to
Yeah, if
like
y'all,
what
that's where I
I got a
focus at.
sister's in
I
arm
saw
now. I can
also
ask her questions then.
herbalism
Yeah.
and everything,
Yeah.
and that's how I got into it, like the yoni steaming. That's how I first got pregnant because the birth control stripped my. Well, it's a whole long story. I could get into it later because I would like to talk to you guys and work with you guys
Yeah.
Okay.
outside of this and stuff. But I got on Depo shot, didn't work out for me. My boyfriend at the time actually tried to get me pregnant. I was like, I'm a freshman in college, buddy. Took a plan B, but I was already messed up from the depot.
Yeah.
I actually bled for a whole year.
Ooh.
And that was
Ooh.
not, yeah, it was
Yeah.
the
So, probably so
hormone up and down.
unhealthy. Oh.
Then I'm
Yeah.
running track and I'm trying to like still love it, but like the hormones and everything of it, I was,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to school after my sister just died in the same house. So it was a lot of stuff going on. I was like, this is not, something has to give. So I took out, that's when I started, first went pescatarian, then vegetarian, then I went vegan. And then I did go back to eat meat with my son. I think it's because his daddy's like you know how the biological thing. I was like,
Yeah.
why do I want this so bad? I couldn't turn it down. The steak was so calling my name.
Steak is every time. Steak and cake.
Yeah.
Steak and cake.
I need somebody to say, where is them cupcakes from the baby shower? I'm like, I had to throw them out because I kept eating them.
Well, I want to say it was great. It was great having you guys on the show. We look forward to everything that you guys are doing in the community, and we will definitely be more engaged. We definitely want to make sure we get your information so we can, for sure. I feel like we need to. I feel like we stop by and tell a story, especially you, Yanni.
Yeah.
Seem like you got a story. I got a story. I would
got a
love
story, for sure.
to actually, express or a deeper one that I don't, because I don't mind. I don't mind telling my how I healed from my trauma because there's not enough men that probably hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not enough
It
men,
definitely helped me
and that's
grow.
where that healing part starts with some of them by just hearing another black man actually say, "We can heal from it."
Just because it definitely help you grow because, and you can see the different way. You see you do work on yourself, then you can look
Yeah.
at like an old head that's like 40 or 50, and he still be like thinking in a certain way, like, or he still be moving in a certain way, saying certain stuff. Like, damn, man, that's sad. Like,
Yeah.
like, oh, he ain't got it. Like, he
He
ain't
ain't got it,
got
right.
it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like, but you definitely gotta put that work in, man. Grow.
Can I
Yeah.
ask y'all a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
As black men, like, what do you feel like could have changed your trajectory as a, let's say, 15, 16-year-old black boy? Like, what did you need at that age? Because, like, we just to bring it back to the kids, sometimes it's hard connecting with them and, like, getting them to really understand the importance of their life and getting them to kind of ignore, I don't know, ignore might be the wrong word, but their immediate circumstances.
Right.
Because sometimes that's the only thing that's fueling them. And get them to see like the bigger picture so that they don't make those mistakes. Because obviously we don't want them to have to go to jail in order to learn from their mistakes. I would really rather you go to college or trade school
Yeah.
versus being incarcerated and years of your life taken from you because of a decision that you made when you didn't fully understand yourself. So how can you connect with that age group? Because I work with kids, and so I like to
For me,
have something for them.
for me, for sure, was just looking back on how I grew up and what I really needed. I knew at an early age, I just always wanted like my mom and my dad to be together, grow up in like a one household, like just had the love.
Yeah.
Like I, not knowing much at the early age, I just knew I wanted love and needed love. So not having my dad and my mom together, or like not having been raised by a 2-parent household, really like messed me up and led me to the streets. And like I feel like once you get to the streets and you really adopt that mentality, it's hard to get out.
Yeah.
Not having the love and the support at the crib. I grew up with like 5 brothers, and so I was the youngest. So my mom, like I said, if I'm saying talk about all these things that helped because my mom was going through trauma we ain't know about. We going through trauma now because her trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
My dad ain't in the picture. None of our dads was in the picture for real. So all these things, like, it definitely plays a part because if you looking for that figure and you gonna find it in the streets, whether like hanging around the wrong crowd or hanging on the corner, doing this, doing that, like that bridge and that gap, that love not gonna be there, that empathy, that's nothing's not gonna be there
Right.
for you. You know what I mean? So
And
that right there is gonna lead you down the wrong path, and that was like pretty how was happening with me, not having my dad, my mom, not having the love and support, stuff like that, and me being leading to the streets and just like
So what intervention, like if, because I can't say like, okay, I'm gonna give your dad back, but like, if there was there anything that could have intervened, that could have stopped you outside of like your father returning? I'm just wondering, like, what hope can
This
we
is like
give
a
them?
definitely I'm gonna say now looking back, a male figure, like somebody I could look up to.
Yeah.
And really be like, I ain't gotta do the things I'm doing. I ain't gotta be a street, cause I thought I had to be a street dude. I thought I had to sell drugs. I thought I had to carry a gun. I thought I really had to. So that's why I'm saying the thinking component is very important, cause I really thought I had to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
If I had somebody there like teaching me and like molding me, like then not you don't gotta do that. I would have feel like I'd have definitely turned out way better. But in the end, I feel as though I needed that. Like even though I didn't like had that component, I went to jail. I feel as though I needed that trip to be here today talking to y'all and definitely to figure everything out. Cause
Absolutely.
like,
Well, if I was, just to sum it up all in one, I would just say receptors, being able to receive. You know what I mean? Because when you going through a developing stage as a man, if I'm speaking from a young man transitioning to a man, you got to be able to receive information and discernment. You could receive information and just be like, I got it. Whoop, it's gone.
yeah.
But if you get it, you hold on to it. You know what I mean? But it takes
Apply
that male. Takes that male figure. It takes that male guidance. And our OGs was exploited by the crack era. So most of our OGs was carry pistols, do this, do that. So the image that we seen, that was what we so fighting through that trauma was what we had to battle versus what these young boys are going through today. It's a little bit different. Their battle is laziness, eating. To me, I feel like it's a lot as
A whole
far as
nother
when it comes
agenda
to
for
research.
the youth.
Yeah.
Like they had an agenda for us and our youth. They had an agenda for our parents. Now they got a whole nother agenda for this youth. You know what I mean? So, but like he was saying, the balance component I think between the male and the female is important because you can't have a mom trying to raise a son to be a man. You can't have the son trying to raise the daughter to be a certain way.
Right,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Because y'all need that balance and that component. So for real, if the mom and the dad's not gonna be together, at least they can come together to stake for the kid and raise the kid
Absolutely.
the best way possible. So
Right.
he can know how to have his mom's side and his dad's side, the emotional side and the action side, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I said, my dad was in jail, and we didn't have a father figure. Of course, my mom had boyfriends, like 2, but I didn't look at them as such because there was no, like, I just didn't resonate. It wasn't that I didn't try. It just was like, they didn't try.
They
I'm a
weren't trying to
kid.
fill that
You
role.
weren't showing me
Yeah.
nothing.
So
You're not
it's like,
inspiring. You're not leading.
You're just in the house.
They weren't
like,
trying to fill
there was
that role.
one, he was complaining about food that he didn't buy off of. These is our food thing. That's my money, buddy. So,
Right, yeah.
so I seen, like you said, they felt like they had to go to the streets. You see your mom struggling. You want to provide. And I was a homebody, so I was like, and I had my anxiety, depression. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. But that's where my brother turned to that. And I just feel like if one of the uncle or somebody was a better role model, or just he would have been in a different position because his coaches tried. The coaches do be trying. Some coaches they see
So
where
much
you
though.
are and they want. And then there was this one incident, and I feel like it kind of changed the way he thought a little bit. Where he was in court, and he was about to get sentenced, and they called him up, him and my mom. He said, I saw your sister on the news, because that was at the time I was athlete of the week for WJL from running track.
Okay.
And they were, that was this story for another time, though, because I was like, I didn't tell anybody about it. I just came home and they were like, you were just on the news. I was like, oh, yeah. I won at the track meet. Because I didn't think it was important because nobody would show up for us things,
That's that support you talk about.
Yeah. But the guy, the judge gave him, they just put him in a rehab center because he seen that my mom was trying. And he seen that she couldn't be everything to him. And he was a young man. So I'm about to cry. But that's what I mean. Like, having a role model is very important.
Yeah.
In any sort, just anybody, because that's what I needed
Never
too.
know.
Like, just as a woman,
Yeah.
It's gonna
like,
change you. It's gonna help
yeah.
you get through that shit.
somebody to believe in you, like pump you up, like make you feel like you
No
can
matter
do
what.
whatever
Yeah,
you
but
want
no
to
matter
do.
how many people around, we can always feel alone in this world with so many people. And
Exactly.
that feeling is fucked
That's
up by
it.
itself. Feeling alone. You know what
We
I mean?
feel alone.
Yep, so I definitely get it. You know that.
Sorry. Okay.
Visit our website. We have resources there. Our website is www.survive and the word AND tell TELL
Today's conversation reminds us that the uniform doesn't always mean protection, and that justice begins when silence ends. For those listening who may be struggling, you are not alone. There is help, there is healing, and there are people fighting to make sure your story matters. If you or someone you know is in danger, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE, and that's 7223. Or visit thehotline.org. Together, we can transform pain into power and survival into strength.